Look around you. The air you're breathing, the phone in your hand, the walls around you, even your own body, all of it is controlled by temperature. Temperature is not just about feeling hot or cold. It is one of the most powerful hidden forces shaping reality. Every atom in the universe is moving. Even in something that looks completely still, particles are vibrating. Temperature is simply a measure of that motion. The faster particles move, the higher the temperature. The slower they move, the lower it becomes. This invisible motion quietly controls matter itself. When temperature changes, materials expand or contract. Metal bridges grow slightly longer in summer. Railway tracks are built with small gaps so they don't bend when heated. Without accounting for temperature, structures would crack and collapse. Temperature decides whether water becomes ice, liquid, or vapor. At 0 degrees Celsius, water molecules slow down enough to lock into a crystal structure. Add heat, and they break free into liquid form. Add more heat, and they move so fast they escape into the air as steam. The same substance, different behavior, all controlled by temperature. Your weather exists because of temperature differences. The sun heats the earth unevenly. Warm air rises. Cool air sinks. This movement creates wind. Large-scale temperature imbalances create storms, hurricanes, and global climate patterns. Without temperature variation, there would be no weather. Even ocean currents are driven by temperature. Warm water moves differently than cold water. Density changes. Flow patterns shift. These currents regulate global climate, distribute nutrients, and support marine life. Temperature silently shapes ecosystems. Now consider your body. Your internal temperature must stay around 37 degrees Celsius. If it rises too high, proteins begin to lose their structure. If it drops too low, chemical reactions slow down. Your body sweats to cool down. You shiver to warm up. These are automatic responses to maintain a narrow survival range. Life depends on temperature stability. At the microscopic level, chemical reactions are controlled by heat. Higher temperature means faster molecular collisions. Faster collisions increase reaction rates. This is why food spoils more quickly in heat. Refrigerators slow bacterial growth by lowering temperature and reducing molecular motion. Temperature controls chemistry. Fire itself is a temperature phenomenon. When a material reaches its ignition temperature, chemical bonds break rapidly, releasing energy as light and heat. Without reaching that critical temperature, nothing burns. Combustion obeys thermal thresholds. Technology also depends on temperature control. Computers generate heat as electricity flows. If processors overheat, they slow down or shut off. Data centers use massive cooling systems to maintain performance. Even your smartphone reduces speed when it becomes too hot. Temperature dictates efficiency. In space, temperature determines planetary conditions. Too close to a star, and a planet becomes a furnace. Too far, and it freezes. Earth exists in a narrow temperature zone where liquid water can survive. This Goldilocks range makes life possible. Temperature defines habitability. Metals change strength with temperature. Cold steel becomes brittle. Heated metal becomes flexible. Blacksmiths shape iron by raising its temperature until atomic bonds loosen. Without heat, metal resists transformation. Temperature allows creation. Sound even behaves differently with temperature. In warmer air, molecules move faster, allowing sound waves to travel more quickly. In colder air, sound slows down. Temperature affects how we hear the world. Light emission depends on temperature. Heat a piece of metal, and it glows red. Increase the temperature, and it glows white. Stars shine because nuclear reactions generate immense heat. Their color tells us their temperature. Red stars are cooler. Blue stars are hotter. Temperature determines cosmic identity. Even the air pressure around you is influenced by temperature. Warm air expands and becomes less dense. Cold air compresses and becomes denser. These density differences drive movement in the atmosphere. Temperature powers circulation. Now think about materials like glass. Rapid temperature change can cause it to shatter. The outer layer expands quickly, while the inner layer remains cooler. Stress builds internally, and the material fractures. Thermal expansion creates force. Ice floats on water because it becomes less dense when frozen. This unusual property prevents lakes from freezing solid in winter. If ice sank, aquatic life would not survive. Temperature preserves ecosystems. Even time feels different because of temperature at extreme scales. Near absolute zero, atomic motion nearly stops. At extremely high temperatures, matter transforms into plasma. Different temperature extremes create entirely different states of existence. The early universe itself was once unimaginably hot. As it cooled, particles formed. Atoms emerged. Stars ignited. Cooling allowed structure. Without temperature change, the universe would remain chaotic energy. Temperature shapes order. Every breath you take, every device you use, every natural process you observe is quietly governed by thermal motion. Temperature determines how fast molecules collide, how tightly atoms bond, how materials behave, how life survives. It is invisible, yet constant. It is silent, yet powerful. You do not see temperature directly, but you see its consequences everywhere. In the clouds above you, in the steel around you, in the beating of your heart. Temperature is not just a number on a thermometer. It is the hidden regulator of matter, energy, weather, chemistry, technology, and life itself. The world feels stable, but beneath that stability, particles are always moving. And that motion, measured as temperature, secretly controls everything around you.